First contact. The desolate landscape of Zeta Proxima stretched as far as the eye could see, a barren wasteland of jagged rock formations and swirling dust storms. Dr. Alexis Chen, Earth's most daring xenobiologist, stood at the entrance of her small research outpost, her eyes fixed on the horizon. The twin suns of the Zeta Proxima system cast an eerie, purple glow across the alien terrain, creating long shadows that seemed to dance in the howling wind. Alexis adjusted her helmet, double-checking the seal on her environmental suit. The atmosphere of Zeta Proxima was toxic to humans, a swirling mix of methane and sulfur compounds that would kill an unprotected person in minutes. But it was precisely this hostile environment that had brought her here, alone, to the very edge of explored space. Day 47 of the Zeta Proxima expedition. Alexis spoke into her suit's recorder. Still no signs of macroscopic life forms, but the extremophile bacteria colonies continue to thrive in the sulfur pools. I'm beginning to think. A flash of movement caught her eye, interrupting her log entry. Something had darted between two towering rock spires about 100 meters away. Alexis froze, her heart racing. In all her time on this godforsaken rock, she had never seen anything larger than a micro. Computer, enhance visual feed, Sector 7G, she commanded. The heads-up display in her helmet zoomed in on the area, revealing nothing, just more rocks and dust. Alexis frowned. Maybe I'm finally losing it, she muttered to herself. Isolation could do strange things to a person's mind, even one as disciplined as hers. But as she turned to head back into the outpost, she saw it again. This time, there was no mistaking it. A creature, unlike anything she had ever seen, stumbled into view. It was about the size of a large dog, with a body covered in iridescent scales that shifted colors with each labored movement. 6 limbs, ending in what looked like both claws and suction cups, struggled to support its weight. But what captivated Alexis most were its eyes. 3 of them, arranged in a triangle on its bulbous head, glowing with an inner light that spoke of intelligence and pain. The creature was clearly injured. A long gash ran down its side, oozing a luminescent blue fluid that Alexis assumed was its blood. It stumbled again, collapsing onto the rocky ground with a keening wail that Alexis felt more than heard, a psychic projection of agony that cut through her like a knife. For a moment, Alexis stood frozen, her scientific mind warring with her human instincts. This was first contact, the holy grail of her field. She should observe, document, maintain distance. But the creature was suffering, dying before her eyes. To hell with protocol, Alexis growled, sprinting towards the alien being. As she approached, the creature's eyes fixed on her, widening in what she could only interpret as fear. It tried to retreat, dragging its wounded body across the jagged rocks. "Easy, easy," Alexis said softly, knowing the creature couldn't understand her words, but hoping her tone might convey her intentions. "I'm not going to hurt you. I want to help." She knelt beside the alien, her hands hovering uncertainly over its quivering form. Up close, she could see that its wound was even worse than she'd first thought. The gash was deep, exposing what looked like a complex network of bioluminescent organs. Alexis had no idea how to even begin treating such an alien physiology. The creature's eyes locked onto hers, and suddenly Alexis felt a presence in her mind. Confusion, pain, and a desperate plea for help flooded her consciousness. The alien was telepathic, reaching out to her in its moment of need. "Okay," Alexis whispered, fighting back tears. "Okay, I hear you. Let's get you somewhere safe." With infinite care, she scooped the creature into her arms. It was surprisingly light, its body seeming to adjust and mold against hers in a way that defied physics. The alien shuddered once, then went still, its glow dimming alarmingly. Alexis ran back to her outpost, her mind racing. Every instinct screamed at her to get the creature into a pressurized, non-toxic environment. But what if Zeta Proxima's poisonous atmosphere was what it needed to survive? What if, in trying to save it, she killed it instead? As she burst through the airlock, Alexis made a split-second decision. She laid the creature gently on the floor of the decontamination chamber, which could be adjusted to recreate a variety of atmospheric conditions. With trembling fingers, she set the controls to maintain a mix similar to the outside air, then initiated the sterilization sequence to prevent any potential pathogens from entering the main habitat. The alien's eyes fluttered open as the decontamination mist settled around it. Alexis pressed her hand against the transparent wall separating them, and to her amazement, the creature lifted one of its limbs, pressing it against the other side. "Hang in there, little one," Alexis murmured. "I don't know what you are or where you came from, but I promise, I'll find a way to help you." As if in response, the alien's glow pulsed once, brightly, before fading again. Alexis turned to her lab equipment, her mind already formulating and discarding treatment plans. She had no idea what challenges lay ahead, but one thing was certain. The fate of this extraordinary being now rested in her hands, and with it, perhaps the future of human-alien relations. What Alexis couldn't know, as she began her desperate race to save the alien's life, was that her compassionate act would set in motion a chain of events that would change the course of galactic history forever. The rescue. Alexis worked tirelessly, her fingers flying over holographic displays as she analyzed the alien's physiology. The creature lay still in the decontamination chamber, its labored breathing the only sign of life. Hours ticked by, punctuated only by the beeping of medical equipment and the occasional whir of the atmospheric regulators. Come on, Alexis muttered, poring over the latest scan results. The alien's biology was like nothing she had ever encountered. Its cellular structure seemed to shift and adapt even as she watched, making it impossible to get consistent readings. Suddenly, an alarm blared. The alien's life signs were plummeting. No, Alexis cried, rushing to the chamber. The creature's eyes were closed, its glow fading to a dull flicker. Without thinking, Alexis overrode the airlock controls and burst into the chamber. The toxic atmosphere hit her like a wall, her suit's filters struggling to cope. But Alexis ignored the warning lights flashing in her helmet. She knelt beside the alien, placing her hands on its scaled body. "Please," she whispered, "don't give up." As if triggered by her touch, the alien's eyes snapped open. A surge of energy coursed through Alexis, and suddenly, her mind was flooded with alien thoughts and memories. She saw vast crystal cities floating in pastel skies, felt the joy of soaring through ionized clouds, experienced the deep connection of a hive mind spanning galaxies. But overshadowing it all was a sense of terrible urgency, a mission of vital importance. The alien was trying to tell her something, but the concepts were too foreign, slipping away like sand through her fingers. Alexis gritted her teeth, focusing all her will on maintaining the connection. "Show me," she fought fiercely. "Show me how to help you." Images flashed rapidly, strange plants with pulsating veins, geological formations that hummed with energy, and finally, a clear picture of a luminous pool hidden in a cave not far from the outpost. The vision faded, leaving Alexis gasping for breath. She looked down at the alien, understanding dawning in her eyes. "You need something from that cave, don't you? Something to heal you." The creature's glow pulsed weakly in affirmation. Alexis stood, her decision made. "Hang on, little one. I'm going to get what you need." She stumbled out of the chamber, her head spinning from the toxic exposure. The logical part of her mind screamed that this was madness. She was risking her life on an alien hunch, abandoning years of scientific training for what? A feeling. But as she suited up for the expedition, checking her oxygen levels and grabbing emergency supplies, Alexis knew she had no choice. This wasn't just about saving one life anymore. The alien's memories had shown her glimpses of a civilization far beyond human understanding. If she could establish peaceful contact, the benefits to humanity could be immeasurable. The journey to the cave was treacherous. Zeta Proxima's terrain was unforgiving, all sharp rocks and hidden sinkholes. Twice, Alexis nearly fell to her death, saved only by her suit's enhanced strength and reflexes. As she approached the coordinates gleaned from the alien's vision, the ground began to tremble. A massive shape rose from behind a rock formation, and Alexis found herself face to face with a creature straight out of Earth's prehistoric nightmares. It was huge, at least 20 feet tall, with a body like a praying mantis, but a head reminiscent of a tyrannosaur. 6 glowing eyes fixed on Alexis, and a roar that shook the very air emanated from its tooth-filled maw. Alexis froze, her mind blank with terror. The creature took a thunderous step forward, the ground cracking beneath its weight. In that moment, Alexis was certain she was going to die. But then, impossibly, she felt a familiar presence in her mind. The injured alien, despite being back at the outpost, was reaching out to her. Alexis gasped as knowledge flooded her consciousness. The creature before her was not a predator, but a guardian. It could be reasoned with. Taking a deep breath, Alexis raised her hands, palms out. She focused her thoughts, projecting an image of the injured alien and its desperate need. She showed the guardian her mission, her intent to help, not harm. For a long moment, nothing happened. The guardian stood motionless, its eyes boring into her. Then, slowly, it stepped aside, revealing the entrance to a hidden cave. Breathing a sigh of relief, Alexis hurried past the creature, noting how its eyes followed her every move. The cave was dark, but as she ventured deeper, a soft glow began to illuminate her path. She emerged into a vast cavern, its walls lined with crystalline formations that pulsed with an inner light. In the center was a pool of liquid that seemed to defy physics, flowing upwards in graceful arcs before falling back on itself. Alexis approached the pool cautiously. The liquid was the same luminescent blue as the injured alien's blood. She pulled out a sample container, carefully filling it with the strange fluid. As soon as the container was sealed, the cavern began to shake. Rocks fell from the ceiling, and Alexis realized with horror that the entire cave system was collapsing. She ran, dodging falling debris and leaping over widening cracks in the floor. The guardian creature was gone, leaving her to face the collapsing terrain alone. Alexis burst out of the cave just as it imploded behind her, sending up a massive cloud of dust and rocks. She didn't stop running until she was well clear of the debris field, her lungs burning and legs shaking with exertion. As the dust settled, Alexis looked back at the destroyed cave entrance. The sample container felt heavy in her hand, its contents glowing softly. She had what she came for, but at what cost? An entire alien ecosystem, perhaps the only one of its kind, was now lost forever. With a heavy heart, Alexis began the long trek back to her outpost. The injured alien was waiting, and now, more than ever, she was determined to save it. Whatever secrets this strange world held, whatever mission had brought the alien here, Alexis knew she was now irrevocably part of it. As she walked, the twin suns of Zeta Proxima began to set, casting long shadows across the alien landscape. Alexis quickened her pace, acutely aware that time was running out, not just for her new alien friend, but perhaps for the future of interstellar relations itself. Unexpected alliance. Alexis burst into the outpost, her suit caked with dust, and her muscles screaming from exertion. She rushed to the decontamination chamber, where the alien lay motionless, its glow barely visible. "I've got it," she panted, holding up the container of luminous fluid. "Now, how do I use it?" As if in response to her voice, the alien's eyes fluttered open. Once again, Alexis felt the strange sensation of another consciousness brushing against her own. This time, however, the connection was stronger, clearer. Images flashed through her mind, the fluid being poured directly onto the wound, a specific sequence of light pulses to activate its healing properties. Alexis nodded, understanding without words. She entered the chamber, careful to maintain the alien atmosphere. With trembling hands, she uncapped the container and began to pour the glowing liquid onto the creature's injured side. The effect was immediate and astounding. The fluid seemed to come alive, spreading over the wound like a sentient being. It pulsed with light, each flash corresponding to the sequence the alien had shown her. Before Alexis's amazed eyes, the gash began to close, new scales forming to cover the healing flesh. The alien shuddered, its body arching as if in pain. Alexis instinctively reached out, placing a comforting hand on its side. In that moment of contact, the mental connection between them exploded into full, crystal-clear communication. "Thank you, Alexis Chen of Earth." A voice resonated in her mind. It was neither male nor female, young nor old, but somehow all of these at once. "You have saved not just my life, but potentially your entire species." Alexis gasped, stumbling back in shock. You can speak. I mean think, in English." A ripple of amusement flowed through the connection. "I have accessed your language center. It seemed the most efficient way to communicate. We have much to discuss, and very little time." The alien struggled to its feet, its movements already more fluid and graceful than before. Alexis watched in awe as its scales shifted color, matching the hues of the chamber around it. "My name is Zix," the alien continued. "I am a scout of the Galactic Conclave, sent to evaluate your solar system for potential inclusion in our alliance. But my mission was compromised." Alexis's mind reeled with questions. Galactic Conclave. Inclusion. What do you mean compromised? Zix's form shimmered, and suddenly Alexis found herself immersed in a vivid mental projection. She saw a vast network of alien civilizations, thousands of species working together in harmony. Earth appeared as a small blue marble, teetering on the edge of this cosmic community. "Your species stands at a crossroads," Zix explained. "You have the potential for greatness, but also for terrible destruction. The Conclave has been watching, waiting to see which path you would choose." The vision shifted, showing a dark, ominous force creeping at the edges of the galactic map. "But we are not the only ones watching. There is another power, one that seeks to conquer rather than cooperate. They call themselves the Void Collective." Alexis saw nightmarish creatures, more machine than flesh, assimilating entire planets into their hive mind. "They learned of our interest in Earth," Zix continued. "My mission was to make first contact, to warn your leaders and offer protection. But the Collective ambushed me, damaging my ship and forcing me to crash land here." The vision faded, leaving Alexis blinking in the harsh light of the chamber. "So what you're saying is, Earth is in danger from these Void Collective beings." Zix's body pulsed with a deep, somber blue. "I'm afraid it's worse than that. In my weakened state, I was unable to fully cloak my distress beacon. The Collective will have traced it here. They're coming, Alexis. Not just for me, but for your entire planet." Alexis felt her knees go weak. She leaned against the chamber wall, trying to process the enormity of what she just learned. What can we do?" Zix moved closer, its eyes glowing with determination. "We must warn your people, prepare them for what's coming. But first, we need to get off this planet. My ship is damaged beyond repair, but perhaps your technology." Alexis shook her head. "My shuttle is designed for short-range exploration. It can't possibly outrun an advanced alien fleet." "Perhaps not," Zix mused, "but it doesn't have to. There's a Conclave outpost in a nearby star system. If we can reach it, we can alert the Galactic Defense Forces." A warning klaxon suddenly blared through the outpost. Alexis rushed to the main console, her heart sinking as she read the display. "Multiple objects entering the atmosphere," she reported, her voice shaking. "They're big, Zix, and they're heading straight for us." Zix's color shifted to a deep, alarming red. "The Collective. They're here sooner than I anticipated. We must leave, now." Alexis hesitated, looking around at the outpost that had been her home for months. "But my research, my samples. None of that will matter if the Collective takes control of this planet," Zix urged. "Please, Alexis. The fate of your species hangs in the balance. With a heavy heart, Alexis nodded. She quickly donned her environmental suit, while Zix shape-shifted, forming a protective membrane around its body that would allow it to survive in Earth-like atmospheres. As they hurried to prep the shuttle for launch, the ground began to shake. Through the outpost's viewport, Alexis saw massive obsidian-black ships descending from the sky, their hulls bristling with weaponry. "Hurry," Zix called, already at the shuttle's entrance. Alexis sprinted across the landing pad, acutely aware of the growing shadow looming over her. She dove into the shuttle just as a searing beam of energy struck where she had been standing moments before. Her hands flew over the controls, initiating the launch sequence. The shuttle's engines roared to life, straining against the planet's gravity. "They're locking onto us," Zix warned, its body pulsing with nervous energy. Alexis gritted her teeth, pushing the thrust to maximum. "Not if I can help it." The shuttle shot into the sky, weaving between energy blasts from the collected ships. Alexis's mind raced, recalling every evasive maneuver she'd ever learned or read about. As they broke through the atmosphere, the vast expanse of space opened up before them. But their relief was short-lived. The radar screen lit up with multiple contacts, the collective's fleet, moving to intercept. Alexis looked at Zix, fear and determination warring in her eyes. "I hope you know where we're going, because this is going to be one hell of a ride." Zix's body glowed with a mix of blue determination and golden hope. Together, Alexis Chen of Earth, we face this challenge together. As the shuttle plunged into the depths of space, engines straining and alarms blaring, Alexis realized that her simple research mission had become something far greater. The fate of two species, perhaps the entire galaxy, now rested on their shoulders. The real battle, she knew, was only just beginning. Battle for survival. The shuttle hurtled through space, its engines pushed far beyond their intended capacity. Alexis's hands danced over the controls, executing a series of wild maneuvers that kept them just ahead of the Void Collective's energy blasts. "We can't keep this up forever," Alexis grunted, her face beaded with sweat despite the cockpit's climate control. "Where's this outpost of yours, Zix?" The alien's form rippled with concentration. "The Antares system. It's not far, but..." A violent shudder ran through the shuttle, cutting off Zix's words. Warning lights flashed across the console. "We've lost our port thruster," Alexis reported, her voice tight with tension. "Zix, I need options. Now." Zix's body pulsed rapidly, its colors shifting in a kaleidoscope of thought. "There," it said suddenly, a tendril extending to point at a sector of space that looked empty to Alexis's eyes. "A dimensional fold. If we can reach it, we might lose them." Alexis didn't hesitate. She trusted Zix, and right now, trust was all they had. She angled the shuttle towards the coordinates Zix indicated, praying the battered craft could hold together for just a little longer. The pursuing collective ships seemed to realize their plan. Their attacks intensified, filling space with a deadly web of energy beams. Alexis's world narrowed to the viewport and her controls, every fiber of her being focused on keeping them alive for just a few more seconds. "There," Zix cried out. "Can you see it?" At first, Alexis saw nothing. Then, like an optical illusion snapping into focus, she perceived a shimmering distortion in the fabric of space. The dimensional fold. "Hang on," she yelled, ramming the throttle forward. The shuttle screamed in protest, but surged towards the anomaly. Space itself seemed to twist around them. Alexis felt a moment of gut-wrenching disorientation. And then, silence. The sounds of pursuit, of straining engines and blaring alarms, vanished in an instant. Alexis blinked, trying to make sense of what she was seeing. The stars had changed, forming unfamiliar constellations. The Void Collective ships were nowhere to be seen. We made it," Alexis breathed, hardly daring to believe it. Zix's color settled into a calm blue. "Yes, we've traveled several light years in an instant. The collective won't be able to track us through the fold." Alexis slumped in her seat, the adrenaline draining from her system. That's good, she managed, before exhaustion overtook her and she slipped into unconsciousness. She awoke to a gentle nudge from Zix. Alexis, we're approaching the outpost. But there's a problem. Alexis rubbed her eyes, forcing herself to focus on the view screen. A massive space station hung in orbit around a ringed gas giant, its architecture an organic blend of technology and artistry that took her breath away. But as they drew closer, she saw signs of damage. Scorch marks on the hull, debris floating nearby. What happened? She asked, a knot forming in her stomach. Zix's colors darkened. The collective. They must have attacked here too. We're not picking up any life signs or active systems. Alexis's mind raced. Without the outpost communication array, they had no way to contact the Galactic Conclave. Earth remained unmourned, defenseless against the coming invasion. We have to board it, she decided. Maybe we can get some systems back online. Send a distress signal. Zix hesitated. It could be dangerous. The collective sometimes leaves traps. Alexis met the alien's gaze firmly. We don't have a choice. Earth is counting on us, even if they don't know it yet. They docked with the silent station, the shuttle's airlock forming a seal with an emergency hatch. Alexis double-checked her suit's seals before cycling the airlock. Zix flowed through beside her, its malleable form adapting easily to the zero-gravity environment. The station's interior was a mess of twisted metal and shattered crystal. Emergency lights cast an eerie glow over the destruction. Alexis and Zix moved cautiously, making their way towards what they hoped was the main control center. As they rounded a corner, Alexis froze. A figure floated motionless in the corridor ahead. It was vaguely humanoid, but with iridescent skin and multiple limbs. Another member of the Galactic Conclave. Is it? Alexis couldn't finish the question. Zix moved closer, its tendrils gently probing the still form. Gone, it confirmed sadly. But not for long. Look. Alexis gasped as she saw what Zix meant. Tiny metallic particles were swarming over the body, gradually replacing organic tissue with cold, unfeeling machinery. Nanites, Zix explained, its voice filled with revulsion. This is how the collective grows its forces. They don't just conquer, they assimilate. A chill ran down Alexis's spine as she imagined this fate befalling Earth. Her determination redoubled. We need to hurry. They pressed on, eventually reaching the control center. Alexis immediately set to work, her fingers flying over alien interfaces as Zix guided her through the unfamiliar systems. I think I've got it, Alexis said after what felt like hours. The main transmitter is damaged, but I've rigged a bypass. We should be able to send a short-range signal. Zix's body brightened with hope. That might be enough. There are conclave patrols in nearby systems, if we can alert them. A metallic screech cut through the air, followed by the sound of heavy, clanking footsteps. Alexis' blood ran cold. Please tell me that's just the station settling. Zix's colors paled. No, they're here. The converted crew. We must hurry. Alexis turned back to the console, frantically inputting the distress code Zix provided. The footsteps grew louder, accompanied now by an otherworldly moaning that set Alexis's teeth on edge. It's sending, she reported, watching the progress bar inch forward agonizingly slowly. Come on, come on. The doors to the control center burst open. Alexis whirled to see a nightmarish fusion of flesh and machine lumber into the room. It might once have been a conclave member, but now its body was a patchwork of metal and circuitry, its eyes glowing with an unnatural red light. Alexis, look out, Zix cried, interposing its body between her and the creature. The converted being lashed out with a metallic tentacle, which Zix barely managed to deflect. More converted crew members poured into the room. Alexis desperately looked for a weapon, anything to defend themselves. Her eyes fell on a piece of broken piping. She grabbed it, swinging wildly at the nearest attacker. The pipe connected with a sickening crunch, but the creature barely seemed to notice. It reached for her with cold, metallic hands. Zix! Alexis cried out, narrowly dodging the grasp. The message. Zix was a blur of motion, using its shape-shifting abilities to hold off multiple attackers at once. Still sending. We need more time. Alexis's mind raced. They were outnumbered, outgunned. There was no way they could hold off the converted crew long enough for help to arrive. Unless... Zix, she shouted. The reactor. Can you overload it? Zix's colors flashed with understanding and alarm. Yes, but we'd never escape in time. Alexis met Zix's gaze, a grim smile on her face. Better us than Earth. For a moment, time seemed to stand still. Then Zix nodded, a gesture so human it made Alexis's heart ache. Together, it said. As one, they fought their way to the reactor controls. Alexis's muscles screamed with exertion as she batted away grasping metal limbs. Zix flowed around her, a living shield against the relentless assault. They reached the console just as the converted crew closed in from all sides. Alexis's fingers flew over the controls, initiating the overload sequence. Alarms blared throughout the station as the reactor's containment field began to fail. It's done, Alexis said, a strange calm settling over her. She turned to Zix, reaching out to touch its shimmering surface. I'm glad I met you. Zix's body glowed with a warm, golden light. And you, Alexis Chen of Earth. Your species has much to offer the galaxy. As the reactor reached critical mass, bathing the control room in blinding light, Alexis closed her eyes. Her last thought was of Earth, and the hope that their sacrifice would be enough to save it. The station exploded in a spectacular burst of energy, taking with it the converted crew and any trace of the Void Collective's presence. In the vast emptiness of space, a small encrypted signal continued to transmit, carrying with it the warning that might just save humanity. The battle was over, but the war for Earth's future was only beginning. A new understanding. In the aftermath of the explosion, silence reigned in the Antares system. Where once a mighty space station had orbited, now only debris and dissipating energy remained. But the sacrifice of Alexis Chen and Zix had not been in vain. Light years away, on the bridge of the Galactic Conclave's flagship, Harmony, Admiral Zero's sensors lit up with an incoming transmission. The encrypted message was brief, but its implications were staggering. Void Collective attack imminent. Earth in danger. Coordinates attached. Zix. Zero's crystalline form shimmered with concern. Plot a course for the Sol system, maximum speed, he ordered, and alert the Council. The time for observation is over. As the Conclave fleet raced towards Earth, events were already unfolding on the Blue Planet. At NASA's Deep Space Network facility in Goldstone, California, Dr. Emily Sato jolted awake at her console. For months, she had been analyzing strange signals from the edge of the solar system, convinced they were more than just background noise. Now, her persistence was paying off. "Director," she called out, her voice trembling with excitement. "You need to see this." Within hours, the highest levels of government were alerted. As world leaders grappled with the reality of impending alien contact, both benevolent and hostile, humanity faced its greatest test. In orbit around Earth, the first wave of Void Collective ships emerged from Fold space, their obsidian hulls reflecting the planet's blue glow. But instead of finding an unsuspecting world ripe for conquest, they were met with a hastily assembled defense force. Earth's nations, setting aside their differences in the face of a common threat, had united their military might. Experimental weapons, long hidden in secret facilities, were deployed alongside conventional forces. It wasn't much, but it was enough to buy time. The battle for Earth had begun. For days, the skies burned. The Void Collective's superior technology clashed against humanity's desperate ingenuity and sheer determination to survive. Cities were leveled, millions displaced. But still, Earth fought on. Just when all seemed lost, when the last of Earth's defenses were crumbling, a new fleet appeared. The ships of the Galactic Conclave, led by the majestic Harmony, entered the fray. Admiral Zero's voice boomed across all frequencies. "People of Earth, stand firm. You are not alone." The tide of battle turned. Caught between the Conclave's advanced weaponry and Earth's unyielding resistance, the Void Collective found itself outmatched for the first time in eons. As the last collective ship fell, a cheer went up from every corner of the globe. Humanity had faced extinction and emerged victorious, bloodied but unbowed. In the days that followed, as the dust of battle settled, Earth took its first tentative steps onto the galactic stage. Admiral Zero, acting as ambassador for the Conclave, met with the United Nations Security Council. "You have proven yourselves worthy allies," Zero declared, his form shimmering with admiration. "The Conclave extends an invitation to join our alliance, to take your place among the stars." The council chambers erupted in excited murmurs, but amidst the jubilation, a somber note was struck. Dr. Sato, invited to attend as Earth's foremost expert on the intercepted signals, stood to address the assembly. "We owe our survival to two individuals," she said, her voice thick with emotion. Dr. Alexis Chen, a brilliant xenobiologist who disappeared on a routine survey mission, and an alien being known only as Zix. They sacrificed everything to warn us, to give us a fighting chance. A moment of silence fell over the chamber as the weight of their sacrifice sank in. In the years that followed, Earth underwent a transformation. The technology shared by the Conclave ushered in an era of unprecedented progress. Climate change was reversed, diseases eradicated, and the scars of war slowly healed. But perhaps the greatest change was in humanity itself. The knowledge that they were not alone in the universe, that they had faced annihilation and survived, united the people of Earth in a way nothing else could have. As the first human Conclave joint mission prepared to launch, a statue was unveiled at the United Nations Plaza in New York. It depicted two figures, one human, one alien, standing side by side, gazing up at the stars. The plaque beneath it read, "To Alexis Chen and Zix, their courage saved two worlds and united many more." Ad astra per aspera, Captain Maria Rodriguez, selected to lead the mission, stood before the statue, her heart swelling with pride and determination. She thought of Alexis and Zix, of their unlikely friendship forged in the crucible of crisis, and the future they had made possible. As she turned to board the sleek, Conclave-designed ship that would carry her beyond the solar system, Maria smiled. The journey Alexis and Zix had begun was far from over. In fact, it was just beginning. High above, the stars beckoned, no longer distant and unreachable, but a promise of adventures to come. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger universe, forever changed by the courage of two beings from different worlds who had found common ground in the face of overwhelming odds. The Void Collective had sought to conquer, but in doing so, they had inadvertently sparked something far greater, an alliance that would reshape the galaxy for millennia to come. As Earth's first true starship disappeared into the depths of space, a new chapter in human history began. The legacy of Alexis Chen and Zix lived on, a testament to the power of compassion, courage, and the unbreakable bonds of friendship that could span the stars themselves.